quorum.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda changes and additions. So we have a lot of additions to the consent agenda. We have 8 additions. Those will be N through U. N, consider approval of Paul Jenkins and Mike Wallerick as track team coaches, unpaid for 2021 season. Yes.
So Chad, if you see something on the consent agenda that you want to discuss, you need to say, I want to pull that one off to put it on discuss and
Action discussion.
Like if there, since there's many additions, if there's something that you see and it wasn't planned, just ask to pull it off.
Okay.
And then we can talk about it.
Otherwise it's just boom, we're done.
Yeah.
So,
And you can pull whatever you want for whatever reason. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be anything.
Yes.
No, right,
correct.
yeah.
Yep. It doesn't have to be an addition the night of or anything. Anything you want to pull off there, we can do that.
And if somebody's got a conflict of interest, we try to already have it on action discuss so that whoever has that conflict of interest can vote on everything else. You know, abstain from whatever it is.
All right. So, consider approval of maternity leave for Madison Ryder. P, consider approval of financial donation from Lyle American Legion for junior high baseball. Q, consider approval of financial donation Lyle American Legion for the baseball softball field resurfacing. R, consider approval of Tanner Murphy as 2021 assistant junior high baseball coach unpaid. S, consider approval of Zach Shara, 2021 assistant JV varsity baseball coach unpaid. T, consider approval of Daniel Bollingberg, 2021 assistant JV varsity baseball coach unpaid. And U, approval of Zoe Achenbach, 2021 assistant varsity softball coach unpaid. Then we have additions, one addition under community reports, that's number 3. Thank you to Lyle American Legion. Then we have an addition under action and discussion. That will be F, consider authorizing the facility committee to purchase or to pursue bids for phase 2 of the bus garage.
Can I suggest one other item for action and discussion as well? Approval of the revised budget for fiscal year 2021.
So that would be G.
G, yeah.
Say that again, Bradley.
Consider approval of revised budget for fiscal year 20-21.
Fiscal year 2021.
Correct.
All right, so if there's no other additions or changes, is there a
Can
motion?
we pull Tammy to H? Yeah, some discussion.
Oh, yes, okay. So we will pull E from the consent agenda. And that will become H under items for action and discussion.
I wouldn't have noticed it, but probably would have said that.
Exactly.
So we didn't notice it when I put it in there.
Yeah, as soon as I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Unless Carl just doesn't want to vote on those 23 things.
Yeah.
That's a big abstain.
That's
I like these meetings where there's no public.
Did you get those, Heather?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so now is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion.
Carl, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Keep up the-
Dave, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes. Consider the approval of the minutes of school board meeting from March 17th, 2021.
I make the motion.
Carl, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Dave, all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
5, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to accept it.
Carl, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Krista, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Public comments. Jamie, did you
Or
get any?
So want to congratulate our valedictorian for the upcoming class of 2021, Audrey Hurd. And also our salutatorian for the senior class, Jed Nelson. So congratulations to both of them. Then number 3, we want to, the American Legion over the years has made, the Lyle American Legion has made a huge contribution over the years to everything from the classrooms to our athletic fields, to our teams, to programs. And I think I just felt it was necessary to put them in there as a, you know, as a way for the community, for our board to, you know, to say thank you to them. You know, in this here, they have, you know, for the ball field, to make some additions to that, to, you know, to make it better. So they have done a fabulous job over the years, and I want to thank them, and I want to put there for the public to hear that of their great work. So thank you to the American Legion.
Yes, thank you. Okay, sorry, no public comments, but
I know.
no, I have nothing either. School board committee updates. Negotiations committee.
Let's see, we completed negotiations with our principal.
Oh, yeah.
That's it so far. Well, the teachers union did file for to negotiate, but we haven't started anything yet.
Legacy committee. The spring student athletes will be selling the fundraiser cards.
At some point.
At some, maybe this weekend, maybe next week, they might start, so be prepared for those to be coming out.
What are the fundraiser cards?
So you maybe seen them, Austin Baseball does it too, but they're like the little, they are, there's some different vendors.
Okay.
I think they kind of change the vendors
Good,
up a little
good.
bit, but same concept, but same exact type of card
Yeah.
system. And thank you to Tammy for organizing that too. So she does a great job of that. And then we will have our senior scholarships coming up too. So for our graduates,
Awesome.
community education.
We had a meeting.
Beginning of last
it was-
month.
Yeah, it's the same date as last month's board meeting, so nothing since.
It was,
Okay.
but it was posted today for the Twins game. It was on Facebook, so.
I saw that.
I saw that.
Yeah. Finance committee.
We have not met, but we should have, but since there's no public whatsoever, I'll feel free to talk slightly more frankly about the revised budget. I think that's kind of what's going on in finance. The other thing is later this year, we'll be able to do a refunding of our bonds. So we'll have some long documents for you guys to sign off on and stuff. But we'll be able to lock in a better interest rate for the next decade, so. It's a darn good time to have that, so.
LPAC committee. I don't think.
We haven't met.
Really?
No,
No.
yep, nothing there. Facilities.
You got a meeting on. That long ago, was it? I didn't go, but. That one. I don't know.
We haven't had one
I don't think
since
so.
last,
Our last
23rd,
meeting.
23rd of March.
Oh,
was it after the board meeting?
must have been.
They all ran together.
That was the week after, yeah.
I think what did we talk about?
We talked numbers.
Yeah. Oh, we
For
talked about
June.
softball.
Yep,
Yeah.
for our
Um,
programs.
I guess we were talking about coaches, what we're gonna do, and then all of a sudden we got coaches coming out of our everywhere.
Mhm.
Which is great.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Yep.
And many of them working for free, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you're
Even better.
excited about that.
We talked about, there's a concern with the middle school programs just struggling with numbers, both schools. So it's,
Yeah, more girls than boys.
yes, yeah.
How to approach that? What do we do about that? Kind of discussion. I think that was about it. Right?
Yeah.
Facilities committee?
We met, was it Friday?
Friday.
Okay. Couple of things. The main thing we talked about was just the wash bay, and that's going to be later in the discussion about the phase 2, but some options that we need to start looking at, considering about how to do that, because we've been using someone in the public community for that for the last several years, and eventually that time is going to run out. So options. We did also talk about the windows. We've had issues in the building in certain rooms where depending on the amount of wind and the amount of water, how fast it's coming down, we have water in the building. We've had 2 bids for it, just to see what we asked. Hey, we asked these 2 companies to come out and take a look at what it is. It is basically what both of them have determined it's a caulking problem. So we asked they gave us a bid, 73,000, and the other one was 68. So the finance committee asked me to bring those 2 companies in with the finance or the facilities committee to discuss what does this entail. If we go on and see what we can do to, what is needed, what effect it'll have, will we ever bring it to you guys, or whether we do it or not. But it's an issue that in my old office, Corey's office, for the last several years, it was in there. We had issues, and they did some caulking and actually fixed it. So,
Okay.
so it's promising that this is the issue, but it may not be the issue. So, and then, was there anything else? I mean, a couple of minor things.
Just updating the game rules.
Yep.
Can you tell me what phase 2 is, what that entails?
It's a term that was when the garage was first built. They had some considerations for additional spaces, including a wash bay, some other,
That was just a wash bay.
basically the wash bay and extra storage for the buses and van.
Okay.
And an office, small.
Heating,
Yeah.
but if they actually have utilities in place.
So it's later in the agenda to talk about it more in depth and answer, you guys can ask questions, but that's mainly for that.
All right. Policy committee.
We've kind of talked through email about the policies that we're bringing tonight.
Strategic plan. Library committee.
There hasn't been a meeting, but I have talked to Di about having a meeting coming up to discuss what the summer and then
Oh, sure.
projection for next year is going to be.
Okay.
We have not determined a date.
Smack.
I got that email. I had Jamie forward it to you. That's basically all the information I have.
Financial reports. Bradley.
I did that earlier, maybe. There we go.
Do 2 screens. All right, first thing I have for you. Can you turn yours off?
Oh,
Never mind, I'll turn mine off.
We're all over the technology tonight. On your screen, you've got our monthly financial report. You can see all of it. I normally have a second monitor for this. All right. So looking at our local revenues, we're tracking ahead of our prior 2 years. That's our increases in revenue for our operating referendum. So that is kicking in and doing good things for us. State revenues are right on track. Federal revenues, it's kind of a bonanza year for federal revenues. We got grants coming out of the woodworks. So I've been drawing those as we go, and every time I turn around, they've passed new legislation and there's more coming. So we most recently got allocated 161,000, and that I got a few things we'll get with that in this fiscal year, most of it will be next fiscal year. And then the next one coming, I want to say it's like 350,000. So we'll be putting our heads together to figure out how we can use that money in a prudent and reasonable and responsible manner so that we don't set ourselves up where 3 years down the road we're trying to backfill $350,000. But hopefully to be able to do some good things that are either long lasting or short-term gain to get us caught up on some of the learning loss issues and those kinds of things. So a lot of interesting stuff this year for federal revenue. Local revenues, I think last year I had done a Pacelli bill earlier in the year. I just did that this week, so it's not in the March numbers. So probably looking a little behind in the local revenues. Looking at our expenditures by program, overall, we're actually further under our budget than we've been in previous years, which is a nice thing. Later on, I'll be presenting a revised budget. When we start looking at that, it'll our April report will look a little more in line with previous years with some of those updated numbers. Not a lot of numbers.
All right, they put me all the way in the corner.
I feel you.
All right, looking at expenditures by object, again, we're a little bit under our previous 2 years as a percentage of budget. Our capital expenditures were ahead because we've done a few things with some of those federal grant monies that weren't in the plan initially. Our revised budget will have all those things in there and buttoned up. So any questions on what we're seeing there for the general fund? All right, I'll switch pages and look at our other funds here. First up is food service. We got all the kids in the building now, so that's certainly going to help us serve more breakfasts and more lunches. It's not going to turn around the year as a whole, but every meal we can serve is a step in the right direction. Community services. Interestingly enough, the school age care program that we've been running goes in the community services fund. So the cost of that program is basically made up for all the things that we haven't been doing in our community services program. So you're looking at that adopted budget compared to the year-to-date actual. We basically filled in all that gap for all the different things that we were not able to do this year with our community ed programs. So as things are opening up a little bit, we may have some summer programming and we may have get some things rolling here. So then our debt service expenditure side of it's all done for the year. The revenue side, we got some more property taxes still to get, and our last 10% of our state aids will come in as well. So Yeah, any questions on any of our other funds? All right, let's switch to our treasurer's report here. Pretty good month for cash. We are up about $84,000 over the previous month. You can see we're getting to have a fairly decent balance there in our Mizloff Max class. I just did some investing yesterday and locked that into a Mizloff term series for 6 months. The interest rate is 0.1%. So, but still better than the 0.04% that we're getting in the max class. It's nice to have rates that are low when you want to borrow something and then you try to invest it. And so, any questions on cash? All right, we'll flip on to payments here. All right, one, you'll see 45,500 for school management services. That is 6 months worth of me and the people that support me. Let's see. One that I'm a little bit excited about, we'll see, arbiter pay. We are going to be able to pay our officials electronically now.
Nice.
Bill Smith and I have been working on that. I think we've got it all sorted out. Basically, I've got to send money to arbiter pay in advance, and then we can divvy it out to whoever needs to get it. So that 2,500 that you're seeing on the report is our first funding payment. We haven't actually spent any of that yet, but maybe by the end of the day tomorrow, we'll have paid last week's officials with some of that. So then
What's the College Riverland for?
that is PSEO. And it's actually less than I budgeted for. So I'm actually kind of surprised at how PSEO turned out this year because, yeah, I expected that there'd be more kids taking advantage of PSEO because if you were going to have an online high school class or an online college class, why not take the college class if you were already feeling like you were missing out in your senior year anyway? But we got fewer kids in it this year, so I think I budgeted 25 grand for that. So that's just the spring semester there. Eagle Bluff, they went on that trip earlier this month, so I paid that out 2,141. Yeah, that's what I got.
Any other questions for Riley? If not, is there a motion to approve the bills? Payment?
I'll make a motion to approve everything.
Thank you, Krista. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Earl. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Reports, presentations.
All right. The majority of my items are in the action discussed, so just a couple of things. We are interviewing on Friday for our office assistant to replace Betty, sadly at the end of the year. We had 10 applied, so we brought 5 forward for that. We're very excited, and I will say, looking at the applicants, it's just from the documentation that they turned in, it's going to be a difficult decision. So we're looking forward to that. We just had our honor roll breakfast. The high school staff fed our honor roll students. So I want to congratulate them. I don't think we posted their names on Facebook, so we have to do that yet. I will say that I keep track of, I mentioned this for years, but I keep track of the athletic programs and how well they do overall each year and kind of compare them. Our boys basketball team had a 3.49 GPA, for their season, and the girls' team had a 3.57. So, and both of them were an increase from previous years, so it's nice to see the increase. Last year we did in the month of May, we did a senior spotlight where we highlighted a senior every few days on Facebook. Planning to do that again, so I'm working with Mr. Hanson and Ms. Vogt to get that information to those, but if there's any seniors watching, I'm sure you are, and so hopefully you can please send me your pictures so that I can have your composite down in the hallway as well by the reunion. But I will give you, as soon as I get those information, I think I got 6 or 7 of the spotlights, so I can at least start in May. Speaking of the seniors, graduation is still holding steady at June 4th. Based on, I'm still kind of reviewing, taking care of a few other things, but reviewing how we're going to make that. I know parents are probably wondering about how many people will be able to attend per family. I look to have that soon. Heather and I are going to go down either this week or early next week and kind of just see how we're obviously going to have to space kids out and people out in the gym. I know that there might be requests to have that in the, on the football field, but I always think that if we do it, we're going to have, then it's the time of the day, mosquitoes, rain, and then we're flipping it back into the gym anyway. So I think just staying consistent with other years and just having the gym, and we'll be streaming it. I've already worked with Mark Blees, who's going to do the audio, and I already addressed that I would like to have it so that whoever is speaking is directly heard on the camera, so that people watching it in a different state will be able to hear it clearly. That is primarily it. Again, the rest of the stuff I was going to talk about later. So if there's any questions, I will pass it over to Corey.
We're gonna do the parade, aren't we?
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. Yes.
I had that.
Thank you for asking that question. Thank you for reminding me.
We gotta do it. I
That's what it
liked
was.
it a lot.
Yes,
I did too.
That was,
yes, I'll add that to my. So last year we did it after the fact, or, well, we didn't really have a graduation, it was kind
Right,
of individualized,
yeah.
so we'll have to determine when to have that. If we can do
would
that
it be
on,
possible to do it right afterwards, Gary? or-
yeah, we could,
I mean, because you're not gonna have the reception line or anything like
Yeah.
that, so,
that would be
I mean, it
perfect.
should be pretty quick.
It was
Thank you
pretty,
for reminding me,
it was
Carl.
pretty cool, like,
Yeah,
It was great,
the
yeah.
whole community came out, it was really, and it was a beautiful night.
well, that,
Yeah.
and we had nothing else to do.
Thank you for reminding me.
All right, we have MCAs have been going on this whole week. This year, we tried something new by,
Did they hear her?
can you hear me okay? I can speak
Krista.
loudly.
Krista, can you hear Corey?
That's why I removed the mask too. Yep, no problem. Okay, so we started MCAs this year. We did something different by having them on their iPads in their classrooms, and secondary is taking it during their regular scheduled class time, so there's not a whole lot of interruption in the building, and it is going more smoothly than I expected. So I'm very pleased with that. We should be, 7-12 should be completely wrapped up with reading this week already without having to do any makeup. So it's been going really well. We had the dental clinic come in. We had them in March 17th and then April 19th. The reason there was such a gap was because we had a snow day in there or some bad weather that they couldn't get here. They saw 27 students. They received dental education, cleaning, sealants, x-rays, fluoride treatments, and our nurse Barb organized all of that. So she did an awesome job with that. We are looking at starting to plan and what like a fun day, a field day, and then some sort of awards ceremony can look like. Those planning stages have begun. We don't have the dates yet, but that will be coming out and we'll communicate that. And then also today is Administrative Assistance Day. And so we wanted to spotlight Heather Small and Betty Meyer. Our school had a little celebration for them today as well, but they have really truly been the backbone for a lot of keeping this building running this year. So we thank them both. And Heather's sitting over here off camera. So,
Thank you, Heather.
Thank
buddy.
you.
Yay. Thank you.
and that's what I have. Short and sweet.
Thank you. Not thank you that it was short and sweet, but
I know Carl's like,
but like, just thank you.
Well, the contract, let's see.
Yeah, that's coming up. It's right here. Okay. Items for action and discussion.
would you like me to speak longer, Carl?
Discussion and decide on the open school board position.
So in response to Renee's resignation, basically what Carrie and I found out from the MSBA is we have not from now until November, or essentially December 31st, to appoint someone. Whoever is appointed, there is kind of a 30-day period where anyone can review that if they want to. But once that 30-day comes, that's the person for the remainder. Then we do have to have an election sometime on the specified election days. What MSBA encouraged us was November 3rd or whatever day it is. And that person would fill out the rest of Renee's, which is the remaining 3 years. So now it is the 6 of us to find a person. If there's more than one, determine what we would do with that. But I know you have contacted somebody.
Yeah, I have contacted one person, and it was a person that did receive a number of write-in votes at the last election. So I thought it kind of made sense to perhaps just approach that person. And I got a positive response too, so that's one at least.
Have any of you talked to anybody?
Like I said, I reached out to someone and I asked her tonight and she said, I just not a good timing. So I don't want to do the interview process thing. That was very uncomfortable. Then we sat and voted in front of them. I mean, if we gotta do that, I just think we need to do it differently. Just so it's not so, we had them sit there, they should, like Heather said, we shouldn't have them both sit here, ask them the same questions.
Right.
Were you here, Jamie?
No. There is no, and that's what surprised me, Gary said, there's absolutely no rules in statute whatsoever about
So-
what the appointment process is. We can decide.
So, I mean, we could just appoint, I mean, we don't even have to interview people,
No.
right? You just say, we can decide.
So would it be best to appoint? Would it be best to, because I'm sure people don't even know.
No.
Do we need to, should we post that and make it, public
We certainly
information?
could, like I said,
people?
we don't have to. I mean, I think
Right,
if we
I'm
had
just-
5 people, we could essentially appoint one of those. The problem is, I think what you're getting at, if you don't, if you try to rush it through, then
Right, yeah.
people are gonna
Then
love it.
someone might come forward and say, I didn't even know that was an option. I
And then they
would have
can,
loved to have served on the
so
board. or
we
tried.
could drag our feet out long enough and just wait for the election.
you could.
But no,
I mean, November is unfortunately going to be here before we know
Oh.
it, unfortunately, so.
we probably won't, I mean, July will be probably where we're at, August maybe?
So
I mean, did MSBA give you any type of suggestion on maybe what, is it best to post it? And,
he didn't
Not at
reference
all?
posting at all.
okay,
He said it's really up to you guys. You said, basically the person you talked to, you could
just,
motion tonight and they could vote and be done with it, and then we just say, hey, you're on the board if you so elect. I don't know if that's the right decision. I'd kind of like to
yeah.
have the board at least discuss it.
We probably need to post it, just so,
At least for a couple weeks.
just so.
But do we really need to post for the interim? I mean, obviously we want to post it by November for the election.
Well, I think we just need to post what's going on in general. I don't think very many people know that we had a board member.
Yeah.
Right,
We had a board, we probably need to had a board member resign. Now we have to appoint someone. If interested, please contact Dan Frank.
Dave. Dave first.
Dan.
He's already done.
Contact Dan.
Dave, contact Dave, no,
I know
contact
you-
Carrie and, or Jamie.
Yep.
And just, and then hopefully we get 2 or 3.
Well, and we should probably talk about what we want to do once we get those. Do you want to have a
Right.
special board meeting just for that? I would assume that has to be public,
Oh,
so. And that's probably why you guys chose it
Right.
last time. I can understand why Heather and you are saying that was uncomfortable, so.
It was. It really was that very good.
was I the only one? Were you there? There, okay. It's like, who else was there? How long ago was that?
That's been,
Who
Was it that
It was
summer?
the year Jen left.
who were the administrators?
Jen and Nick.
So was it, they were,
Okay. Sure.
Brandon was still here, Jess was still here.
Yep. Is Brandon,
Jerry,
Jerry? Okay,
so we'll post it.
So
and then
post it, yeah.
maybe they write us
How
a
much
nice-
time do you want me to?
Not very
I
long.
not,
2
yeah,
weeks?
I would say not very long.
And if we only have
Couple
one,
weeks, Then that's easy.
then that's easy. If we have
Right.
2, then maybe
Then
we
we'll
just,
talk.
we just
schedule.
have them submit something,
Yeah,
why they
like,
want, what they want to do, and we can just pick up that.
Yeah.
Do we have to interview necessarily?
The interview could be the questions.
well, I mean,
Ask
just
them to do too.
if they submitted a letter of why they want to, and then we can read it, and then we just,
Okay. I mean, not.
we have a discussion,
someone,
and,
yeah, someone could make a motion to appoint so-and-so.
right?
And
So then we don't have to have it, do we really need it?
Interview.
Huh?
I don't think we need to have to
I
open
mean,
the
I would-
interview process
The
again.
only thing now that Gary said was the board has to be very careful about basically having discussions about who they're selected beforehand.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
sure.
right,
He
yeah.
suggested have
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah, no,
discussion
yeah,
at the
yeah.
board meeting,
Yes.
not anytime before, so.
I guess I would rather do that, just a letter of why you'd like to be considered. 350 words, double spaced.
12 fonts.
Yeah. 15 gauge paper.
APA.
Okay, are we good? On that one?
Yep.
Okay,
So back,
Oh,
anyway, so it's April. So we're gonna say mid-May, have it,
By the end of April.
I could wait till I get whatever I get and then send it to you guys.
well, I know, but, okay, so you're gonna post something by Monday?
Or as early as Friday, I'm sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I'm just, I don't wanna, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's fine.
so if you get it posted by Monday or Friday, the 10th would be 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then,
Do we have to be a special board meeting, or can it just be the regular?
We could do the
schedule?
board meeting.
yeah.
And the next board meeting is
The
the
19th.
19th, so.
Yeah. Okay, so May 10th
Yeah.
deadline?
I don't think there's anything wrong with you guys individually calling the board, that person, I should say board member, but that person and talking with them. You just can't have conversations with
Yes.
each other, so.
Okay.
hopefully,
Item B, consider approving the 3-year contract for Corey McCray as K-8 principal DAC.
Do you want her to leave the room so we can? No, I'm just kidding.
can we go into closed session?
We can.
I will make the motion to accept this contract.
Carl, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Dave, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hi,
Motion passes.
You can sleep tonight.
Item C, consider approving the first reading of the revised district policy 410, family and medical leave policy.
This is a pretty straightforward from MSBA. It's one of those that they request to do annually. So pretty straightforward.
Mm,
All right.
You have to approve.
This is the first reading.
Yeah, is there a motion to approve the first reading?
I'll make the motion.
Carl, is there a second? Chad, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Item D, consider approving the first reading of the revised district policy 421, gifts to employees and school board members.
We're getting gifts.
Just say no.
Oh, say no.
Just say no. Policy.
I guess I'll have to accept it. The reading.
So Carl made a motion.
Yes. I
Okay.
can.
Is there a second?
I can second it.
Krista, thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Item E, consider options regarding the MSHSL fee.
It's like a thing just never goes away.
Exactly.
So as several months ago, I brought to you the concerns about why LPAC and other schools were not in favor of making this payment. And again, for the public who may not understand what this payment is, every year there is an annual membership fee, which was paid last summer or early fall. They imposed a COVID installment fee onto schools across the state. Basically, their reasoning for that was because they're not bringing in money from the state tournaments. They need money to support that. There is reasons why I would argue that, and most superintendents would also argue that, is that they have not done a fabulous job of being accountable and fiscally responsible over the years. So the guidance you guys gave me was wait till you get the letter of shame, and so on April 6th, I got it with my name on it. Perfect. So a couple of things in talking with the SMEC, I don't know, shame on me. In talking with the other SMEC schools, there's a couple of area schools that have also either passed a resolution to hold off, or they just have basically told the soup, like you guys have, that we're not paying it. Interestingly enough, the state, one of the local administrators sent an email to Eric Martins at the state and said that because your bylaws state in verbatim here, annual membership dues shall be established by the board of directors and shall be payable by October 1st of each year. Schools failing to pay dues for any year are not eligible to participate in league activities for that year. So his question is, if we paid our membership fees for the year, why are you imposing additional fees? I have not seen a response. Now, I think there's probably a strong chance that they'll just, one hand, they will not, may say you're not playing in any of these spring sport championships. I think that is going to be a public outcry across the state. They say that 81% of the schools have paid it. I've seen no data to support that. I've also, they also said that they're going to have, they've had two board meetings where they said they're going to discuss it. It's nowhere in the minutes that it's being discussed. So I'm wondering if this is some backroom stuff. I'm not in good standing with State High School League.
I think we send a letter saying they're not in good standing with our district.
Yeah.
And last week I sent Eric an
Shame
email
on
and
them.
saying, so can you tell me how much the State High School League paid for the use of Target Center and Excel Center for the state tournaments? And as I said, as a member of school, we deserve to know that. And he said, after we get everything figured out, we will give that to you. So
After they get what figured out.
Well,
they're paying all
500
the-
by $20 a person.
Well,
the
there weren't a lot of
officials,
people that have to
rental,
calculate.
but they only allowed
revenue for it,
250
so.
people in.
That was the
So
biggest waste.
They did not make a lot of, I think, couldn't have made
I
any money
hate
off of that.
taking away from the kids, but that was such a waste. You only put 500 people in there. That was a waste of money.
I know.
It just.
So
Which-
So what's
the easiest thing to do is just to make the payment.
Right.
And be done with it. The other hand, I personally don't want to.
Who's still holding out
Yeah.
locally?
Kingsland, Grand Meadow, Leroy, in Southland, Albert Lee.
Yes,
Albert Lee has passed, and that's,
yeah, I
they
read the
passed an
article.
official resolution as well, as has Kingsland,
To not pay,
to not
to
pay.
not pay. Okay.
Here's my problem. Well, they're not just gonna throw it on, like, all of a sudden, I mean, they're gonna send you a letter saying, hey, if you don't pay this, your kids aren't playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Why you write a check?
And Shelby is also not, Kane is also, wants to hold out to.
Well, I don't know. I just feel like it's not right.
It's not right, but the hard part is,
I don't wanna
you don't
screw,
want your kids to miss out on an
Oh,
opportunity.
totally.
And unfortunately, the only way you fight it is legally, and then you pay more money
Yeah, we're not-
legally in bills
We're
than
not
it would
gonna-
be to pay the bill.
we're not
you
gonna
know?
hire a lawyer over this.
No,
Because that's part of it, if we do.
but they hold the cards because they can tell
Oh.
your kids they're not playing in
Well,
a
but
tournament, I mean,
I understand, we're gonna play in the tournament. We'll eventually pay it, but I think you just keep waiting until they tell you.
So we paid the actual membership.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right?
yeah.
So what grounds do they have to add another fee for being in that membership?
According to their bylaws, they don't.
Well, I mean, why would we pay it then? I mean,
Everybody else.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's that?
Because
Yeah,
everybody else is
basically.
doing it.
Well, because we got money from COVID and the high school league knows it.
Right, I
They
mean,
want their piece of the pie.
I'm not charging it to any federal grants. I'm not doing that.
it's,
And there is a very strong feeling that this may not be this amount, but closer to this amount as an annual membership. And
Oh, next year.
and being home last weekend for the funeral, I was talking to one of my cousins who, take it for whatever it's worth. He kind of anticipated, as Bradley, as you have stated, is this the demise of state high school league eventually? Are they going to go away and it's becoming, something else has to rise up? I've not been happy as an AD watching them spend money like it was like they've had unlimited credit for 3 years and then now they're imposing it on the schools. It drives me crazy.
Well, what's even more crazy is this, so 4A and 3A got to have home games all the way through. But 2A and 1A had to rent a gym to play their games. What do we, and then it wasn't socially distant at all. We could have might as well packed our gym.
Right.
Or Hayfield's gym
Mhm.
and saved X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
You know,
And all the money that we took in, we had to pay them,
oh,
pay the region
yeah,
for it.
right.
And
But-
statewide, nobody is happy with the high school league.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
it's just statewide, that's all you hear are the complaints about the high school league, yet
We
nothing
just-
happened.
Yeah.
There's such a
Well, it's,
force.
was there any talks of like them restructuring? Seems to me I was reading something that they were gonna restructure their organization as far as having, like representatives from.
Yep.
Or, I don't remember how they, but basically kind of restructuring the whole
Yeah,
situation.
so there's two answers to that. One is they did pass the resolution of they have 2 superintendents across a metro and an outstate
of course.
on their board. That is something that Massa has been fighting for years to have. They have said they've reduced their expenses. They've gotten rid of, removed some of their staffing, but they still pay a gentleman to drive all over the state in his car to write articles. Great articles, but
Yeah, they are.
that could easily be done elsewhere or in a different manner.
Just because of how they sent that letter, you're not in good standing. And I'm just thinking, dude, you're the reason why we're not in good, because you couldn't balance your books.
Yep.
So it bugs me.
Well, and so maybe you reply to them and maybe you say, we're happy to pay our portion of that if you can provide us information. And like exactly when you talked about the bylaws, you know, I mean, we're happy to pay our portion, but can you give us further information
So I've
on your
actually-
bylaws, you know, showing us where we need to pay this?
Right.
And I
I've been
think
reading some
That can
articles.
buy us some more
that-
time.
that is
Our
what-
I just don't-
reaching out
I agree, I know,
and
it's
get
just,
information too, and it just don't seem like they
We're not gonna end up
provide
always
it,
playing
you know.
baseball.
And that is what Kane has kind of done that.
I know,
Totally
but-
want to do, and
But
they get away
it's
with
not
it.
gonna happen like that.
He has in his letters
I know.
from with
I
the
don't know.
state. Kind of ask those questions.
Like I said, it sounds like a lot of people are gonna ask questions, but haven't really been getting good responses. But
Yeah. The only one I've barely, like I shared that
Yeah.
in an email from that Rick Matter or
Yeah.
whatever. He's the only one that actually answered the questions. Still didn't, I liked his answers, but at least he was willing to answer with them some that made sense.
Do we wanna play chicken with this?
How does Pacelli feel?
They don't wanna pay
They
it.
don't want to pay it, yeah,
So if we pay it, they're gonna pay it.
Yeah.
right,
So I think if we decide to pay it,
They'll
we
pay
need to have an LPAC meeting or some understanding with them that,
yeah, we'll do the same,
Yeah.
yeah.
but that's another point is the.
Well, that's it. Why is
With
it,
Southland, Leroy, Grand Meadow, and Kingsland all have a baseball team. If one of them doesn't pay,
right?
what are they gonna do?
Yeah, true, right.
So,
I don't know, it's one of the things. I don't know.
What is it? How much is it again?
26, oh, it's in there, 26.50. 25.50, 25.90, sorry.
I'll pay them the 90. We'll pay installments.
Yeah, based on 0% interest.
I don't know, but
I think to jeopardize,
I know,
state, you know, if you have a chance to go to state or you could jeopardize that.
I know.
I don't wanna be the first one to cave though.
But technically, the problem is, we are members.
Right, they
You know,
haven't
so we
kicked us
paid
out.
our installment for this year.
It'll be next year.
It'll be next year.
Well, but that letter said,
But we're
what, that
members.
We already been through the season, so they've already allowed us, because they're talking about this season, right?
Where does it say?
We not
I know
be able
the
to
This
board
spring
recommends
season,
something.
or does it, I mean, it's already been paid in October, technically. It would be next year.
Well. They're making it sound like it's for this year, and
Right.
we've already been playing through this year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The board's decision could include taking action against schools in this year's spring season. Well, they didn't even bring it to their board meeting to discuss it. Further, a condition for membership in next year will require any past due membership dues must be paid prior to accepting a school for membership. And we turn that in the document sometime in June, so. So in my opinion, they're gonna have to make it, we'll find out soon what they're gonna go with, and I'd like to see that decision actually made by the board of directors. If they're gonna kick teams out, I wanna see that in minutes. They haven't discussed it in their meetings at all, which is really strange.
yeah.
Said they're
that's-
going to, and it's not in the minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will hold off until you see some rain, for sure.
I just, it's not gonna happen overnight. I mean, it's not gonna, like today we're gonna be playing and tomorrow we won't.
Right,
I
I
mean,
know, yeah.
But I understand your concern. I get it.
No, I know,
I get it.
because that would be our
Yeah.
luck, but.
Yes, that's
state
what
high
we-
school week.
Yes,
That'd be bad.
and we're gonna
And
have,
they would, because they do that stuff. They just do what they feel like doing when
well,
they
obviously.
want to do it,
They're sending us a bill.
right?
So,
Who has any sort of supervisory over this league?
What was that?
Really nothing. Basically, the board of directors, there's no, they're their own, it's basically a nonprofit, 501c3 organization, so even MDE, the governor has no control over them.
Corey, you think we should wait too?
Hold on a second, I'm reading the letter.
Okay. So Chad thinks wait a little bit longer.
How much longer though? Like at what point? You just got this letter and Unless
kind of
we-
said at the beginning of the year, if we got to this.
Or do we give them just say to them, you know, we need this in writing in your board minute.
In your board.
I don't know, but I really hate to jeopardize our kids.
We have a good baseball team.
If they go to state, I would
Yeah.
hate to jeopardize that, and try to
Yeah.
explain that to them, that's not fair.
Right.
It's not fair to them.
I need more explanation.
And that's why I do think it's fair, Jamie, if you wanted to send them a letter, I mean, stating our intent to pay it. I mean, we will pay it or consider paying that, but we need some more information. I mean, I think that's fair, and that's saying that we are, you know, we're willing to do this, but you need to also provide us this information. It's not just us being, nope, we're not paying it,
Well,
we're not.
in that
You know.
letter sent to the state, it said, if they would have charged Lyle the full amount this year by October 1st, we would have had no say. That would have been the fee that we would have paid.
Right.
But because they had the fee and then they added all this other stuff afterwards, they had no grounds to do that. So inevitably, they could possibly just tack it on to next year and
Right.
we pay it. And then,
It's
know.
just very frustrating that they do not communicate with anyone.
No.
I just, what?
So you don't
It's
have
crazy.
no record or financials for them at all? I mean, I would think they should report that to
Right,
they
all
have
of their
been
members.
very,
right.
it would be basically like if Bradley just talked about the budget and you guys never saw it.
Right.
That's essentially what it is.
I mean,
They
I think
talk
there should
about
be
it.
some accountability of how they're handling all the money. First, you know, but I don't know.
I don't think there's a lot of accountability.
Right. Which it needs to change, I guess.
Yeah,
or-
when they don't want to address something, they don't address it.
Right, I mean, that's.
Seems to
probably-
be anyways.
Well, they're thinking everyone's happy with it now because they're considering getting rid of the mask mandate for spring sports.
But they didn't hold anybody accountable for that.
Exactly.
On
Nobody's
ES
wearing them
national
anyway.
television, the players were having their mask on their chin.
I've been to 2 baseball games now.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Okay, so hold
And-
on.
let's hold off just a little longer.
Okay,
And when you feel like we need to turn the wheel, we'll turn the wheel.
well, it's been in our queue for,
Yep, it is in the
5 months.
superintendent's queue to approve the payment, and has been for months.
So basically it's on you.
yeah, I could, and he'd send it out and,
So it's your fault if we don't go to state.
no, my name's on it. Gee, thanks, Carl. I'll tell the team tomorrow.
Yeah, you're gonna do that. Yeah. I would
Okay.
back you though, because it make you feel better.
Thanks.
All right, item F, consider authorizing the facility committee to pursue bids for phase 2 of the bus garage.
All right, so, the garage has been up, what, 4 years now? There's always been talk about a phase 2, and adding a or a wash bay, a small office, a few extra things like that. We never really did it because the financials didn't put it there, but I did pursue a person who has been we've been using his facility, and he said he thought 2 more winters to wash our bays or our buses. So we basically have a 2-year window. There may be other options we could consider, going to Austin or going somewhere else to wash them, but the finance committee or facility, we talked about that as well. Do we just do it and, look to do it now? So we're just looking at, we would just meet with some builders and see what the cost would be to add an additional wash bay and other things. Obviously, there's some drainage issues and some other things that will add to that to make it work, but. Anything
So-
else?
I should know this, but is the fuel tank still back here or is
Yes,
that
it is.
down? So would
that
this
was-
bid include like getting the fuel tank?
That'd be ideal.
Yeah.
Have it all down there.
Okay,
Have it all down there and
It should be anyways.
yeah.
So, I guess my 2 cents on there, no office. We don't need an office down there.
I think the idea was more for just a bathroom. So when they're watching the buses,
Oh.
you know,
I
'cause
guess
they may be down there for a while.
Yeah, if you're footballing stuff in there, you might as well have a bathroom in there.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna
I'm not talking like
be
an
a
office, like-
significant.
It would be, I mean, it wouldn't be, it'd just be in the same area.
Well, you gotta have
Corner.
heat, so it gotta be a utility room.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be nothing. much
So would
more.
that go on the north side?
Right. Yeah, because the property line's too close.
Yeah. I was
Or
just-
no,
South
side.
south side.
On the
south
south
side.
side?
Yeah,
We own the dip, the low part,
Basically.
I believe, right? We own the low part.
to the south, yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's get bids and so this federal money, can that be used for that?
Pitch me.
We could have our building trades class build it.
Well, that maybe has merit, I would say pitch me on how can that be code related?
You gotta watch the buses down more.
Yeah, yes.
I don't know.
We'll hose them off more because,
Be creative, you know, think about your rationale, I don't have it.
okay,
But
I didn't know, I
What
just,
did that say?
Could be a
I just mentioned the
Railroad
places
project?
to
property
be
project.
when the buses are
that, I
working.
mean,
Yes, okay.
there's definitely some creative ways that things can get done, I mean, that's for sure.
The worst part
The
is-
thing that I told the facilities committee that I would mention in respect to this, you know, we don't know exactly what it's gonna cost, but realistically, it's gonna be somewhere between 100,000 and 250,000.
Yep.
250,000 is about 1 year's worth of our operating revenue.
yep,
We got that passed for a 10-year period. If we want to spend one of those 10-year periods on the bus garage, that's basically that's what we're looking at from a sort of perspective standpoint.
if the could we build a wall inside it and have a wash bay with one of the,
With what we got.
yeah,
We did the bus.
You could, you'd have one whole bay,
right,
which would be a big door. I mean, you really could if you wanted to, but feasibility, probably, I don't know.
I just, to be honest, I don't think we have the money to do it, but that's just me.
I guess what I'm saying is that we actually do have the money. It's just, do we want to spend the money on that or have it available for other things?
Right.
That's my issue.
Yeah.
And right now, you know, we've dealt with this, we're having a bus that, you know, 03 or 01 sitting outside. And that added more issues to that bus because we didn't have the space. Was that, for those two buses, that was fine, because they were on their way out. But if we ever had to get another bus, you know, then what do we do with the vans? And we talked about other ideas, about a smaller garage door. You know,
I don't,
I guess
I'm
to
not-
find out what it would be, I have no idea.
I guess that's our starting point. We gotta find out what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our, I'm just,
Sometimes in the winter time, you just have to pull them up and get warmed up and.
Well, yeah, I think it's packed under there, I mean, it's, but, yeah, I don't know, I mean, we could use storage to advance it out the parking lot in the winter, which it works, but just,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. It's,
There's a lot of cars sitting outside though.
right, I know, but,
I know it saves wear and tear, but you look around a lot of these school
yeah, I
districts,
know,
we're very fortunate what we got.
right.
Where is the other white van?
Which,
Is it parked up? We only have
Actually,
one,
we have two,
right, is it parked
well,
down?
technically three, the ones for sale right now.
Yeah,
so what,
One's in the garage,
oh, is it, okay,
13's in the garage.
okay, I just haven't seen it around.
Okay, so is there a motion to pursue bids for phase 2 of the bus garage?
I make a motion.
Chad. Is there a second?
No second.
Dave, all those in favor say aye. Aye,
I,
opposed?
Krista, you just come out of the blue and so the whole meeting is like. It's, and it's just. Oh, geez.
Item G, consider approval of the revised budget fiscal year 2021.
Put you more in the center. How about that?
Good. All right, so I've been kind of poking at the revised budget for a long time. Finally finished it up yesterday. That's why it was kind of a late add to your agenda tonight. From a timeline perspective, we have to do next year's budget by June 30th. So if I don't do this one in April, then I'm doing it in May, and we're doing the other one in June, and it's just better to get this done in April. So ultimately, it's a lot of good news here. So last spring, you were hearing me talk about how COVID ended up being like not that big of a finance impact, you know, because our staffing were all in place and we kept paying everybody, and on the books, it just looked like nothing really changed. For this year, you know, we obviously had some operational changes. We bought all kinds of supplies and masks and custodial equipment, but then grant money came, you know, coming out of the woodworks. So we are in really good shape financially. The grants, in addition to the operating referendum kicking in, if you look at our top line here, that's our unassigned fund balance. Projecting it to increase by 345,000 this year. So for those of you that have been on board for a while, you know, you haven't really heard me throwing around numbers like that unless there was a negative sign in front of it. So it's kind of encouraging, you know.
Yeah.
In terms of our looking at our fund balance, we often look at it as a percentage of our expenditures. You see those little percentages underneath there. 16.93 is what I'm projecting there. So it's a great number in comparison to where we need to be. So one of the things that's been on the horizon is, well, with all the things for COVID, and is the state what are they gonna do for us with our, you know, with state aid? Is there gonna be an increase? Is it gonna be flat? Are they gonna delay payments? All those things are things that for us finance folks, they're in the back of our heads and somewhat expecting that shoe to drop at some point. We're in good shape to be able to deal with that. So all good news at this point. So what this revised budget essentially, here's the other thing that we have going for us too. A lot of other districts experienced enrollment drops, and we didn't. So we went down maybe like 3.
It's
Yeah.
not a real big difference.
Well,
Yeah, that's
eight,
that.
but some of those just went to homeschool and some actually moved out of the state actually. So.
Yeah. For other districts, you know, across the state, some of them were losing, you know, 5%, 10% of their enrollment, you know, and you know, we get paid based on the kids. So if you lose the kids, you're toast.
Yeah.
And the next biggest chunk of revenue comes from compensatory revenue, and that's also based on kids. So if you don't have as many kids, you're not getting as much compensatory revenue. So yeah, so being able to hold our enrollment steady has been a huge thing. So we're in good shape to weather whatever storms we got coming the next few years. Yeah, obviously the state's got some stuff they gotta work on. So the biggest one to me that I just can't understand how they're even pulling it off is unemployment. They haven't asked us to pay anything in a year, and people are unemployed left and right.
So they're paying out tons of unemployment benefits and they're not asking us to reimburse them. So, you know, we can have the money sitting in our checking account at a, you know, 0.04% interest rate. It's fine. Yeah, we'll earn a few pennies on that, but I don't know how they're doing it when you consider how many people have been on our rolls. You know, then talking Anoka Hennepin, you're talking Prairie, you're talking Edina, hundreds and hundreds of people just on a district by district basis that are on unemployment of some kind. So that shoe's gonna drop at some point when the state does their budget. So so that's our big good news from our top line there. I'll touch on a couple other high points here, but that's where most of the money is. You know, I scroll down to the bottom here, our general fund budget is 4.3 million, and 3.6 of it is in that unassigned area. So that's all our federal grants, all our special ed, all our regular classroom stuff. So looking at a couple of our other pieces, extracurricular activities here. This is kind of a new one to be in the general fund. This is our NHS, our student council, our DC trip, our international club, those groups, they're on that line now.
That's it's all in one now, right?
Right.
There's no more.
Well, they still are tracked individually, but it's one big fund balance. You know, so you're seeing a little bit of a decline there in that balance. The Eagle Bluff didn't go last year, so there was some money built up. BC trip didn't go. Spanish club didn't go. So some of that money is getting spent down a little bit. The fundraising this year has been less as well. So that's why you're seeing that trend a little bit. Honestly, kind of a good thing. We don't need to have big balances sitting there for a long period of time with those groups. Next one I want to touch on is operating capital. That's the line that we, in theory, would take the bus garage out of if we were going to do phase 2. There isn't enough money there to do it. That's okay. We can go elsewhere with it if we decide to go there. What is in that operating capital line, our next wave of iPads is in there. And I think it was 4 years ago, we leased them and spread it over multiple years. We're able to bite it off all in one chunk this time and not lease it. So that, you know, of that 71,000 that you're seeing there for revenue, we'll have a number similar to that coming in future years, and we won't be soaking up 20,000 of it, 25,000 of it on an iPad lease. So I think that's going to be a lot more healthy for us going forward. We've got a couple other leases that we're going to see them drop off as well, and maybe be able to pay cash for stuff too. So that's a great advantage of our operating our fund is just flexibility to do some of those things right away and not have to spread payments over multiple years and mortgage those future revenue sources. So the big thing for next fiscal year's operating capital is going to be some curriculum. So the swap we've made for the end of this year is we're putting off the curriculum to next fiscal year, and got the iPads and the wave of laptops in play for now. So we should be able to get all the things we want. We just got to time it just right. So sliding down to long-term facilities maintenance. See it July 1, 2020, that one was in a deficit position. We're creeping our way out of the hole there and getting to a positive there. So the name kind of says it all, but long-term, the idea is we build up a balance there and it's there for when something big happens. So the caulking is gonna take a bite out of that. I don't have that in this budget. So when we push go on that, it'd be July 1st or after. Otherwise, we're back in the hole again. But that's, if we gotta go in the hole, that's one of them that we're allowed to go in the hole, but it'd be nice to be able to stay in the positive even while doing a project like that, so.
And we anticipate, you know, obviously the HVAC on the roof, you know, at some point, some of those are going to start to fail. So we have to build this up so that we can weather those.
And, you know, we redid the roof on the old section of the building, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The rest of the building is gonna need that at some point too. And it's gonna be a big one when that comes through, so. We've got a great advantage of having a relatively new building, but it's gonna have its needs too.
Those days are coming to an end.
So we're at 15 years now on some of this stuff, so think how long do you really expect certain stuff to last? 15 years is kind of a meaningful point, so we'll be seeing them, so. Scrolling down a little bit, I just wanted to point out in assigned funds, 2 things there. Trap team, we basically agreed with those guys. We, you know, set up a fund balance line for them and carry it over. They've got we're still kicking in for it as a district, just like we would for any other activity, but if there's excess money, then we'll carry it over. In this case, they've got 2,700 worth of grants that I know about so far. There might be more still to come in, but we're as a district kicking in at this point only $1,800 for that. It's our first time through the program, so I'm sure I'll have some surprises as we work our way through the rest of it, but that's where I'm at from a budget standpoint. This next one, Future Ready. I don't think I talked about it much when we did it, but we agreed to be a fiscal host for a grant. So we got $17,500 right away in the fall, and really not much has happened with it. So I've budgeted to pay out some stipends and stuff, but right now that's just kind of sitting there. I thought you might see that and be like, what the heck is that? So
It's a grant with Riverland and the SMEC schools to provide some, it's kind of similar to Perkins, just a grant specific to those.
all right. Just a brief word about food service. Yeah, the never-ending struggle. We can't serve enough meals. But that's there. I did carve out some wages out of that fund and use some grant money. I've got that in the budget a little bit, so trying to take a little bit of sting out of that, but still a fair amount of sting there. Hoping for better things in the future when we got more kids in the building all the time. That's gonna make a big difference, so. Community ed, biggest things going on there, the school age care program is on the community education line there. So those numbers are looking a little bigger. It's grant funded for this year, so no fund balance impact there. School readiness has got our most of our preschool program is there. Yeah, so that's what I got. Questions on anything you're seeing there? Yeah, fire away, whatever you got.
Right, if there's no questions for Bradley, is there a motion to approve the revised budget?
I'll make the motion.
Earl, is there a second?
Second.
Chad, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item H. Consider the approval of Tammy Truckmiller as the 21-22 varsity volleyball coach. Is there a motion to approve Tammy?
Motion.
Well, I'll do that to Dave. You're gonna second it, Dave?
Sure.
Okay, so Chad
Yeah, I'll second.
made the motion, and we'll do Chad with the motion, Dave with the second. And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I
Those
abstain.
abstaining?
I
And
abstain.
Carl abstains.
Go ahead.
School board member comments? Anybody? All right. If there are no comments, is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll make it.
Carl, is there a second?
Okay.
Dave? All those in favor?
I, I,
7:22.
Have a good night, everyone.